Welcome back, I'm Rob Lang and this is my game Clomper. You live inside a mechanical ladybird called a Clomper, which you can control by laying pipes to power machines with steam. The outside world is a hellscape that you explore from inside the Clomper, picking up resources and completing quests. If that sounds like fun, like and subscribe for more. Time and again I've advised not to change your netcode library. In this devlog, we're going to look at why that is and why I'm not going to follow my own advice, and how I'm going to change from Mirror to netcode for game objects. First though, I want to try and convince you to not change your netcode library. Changing netcode library is unwise. Do everything you can to stick with your library of choice, because chances are the problem you're having is not the library, it's you. If you're getting lag and desync, then it's probably your code. If you followed a tutorial and it doesn't work, retrace your steps, then do more experimentation. And if you don't understand why it fails, then read more documentation. If you're stuck, spend time explaining your problem and then get help. If you're doing something complicated, then maybe you're asking the impossible. Netcode is woven through every part of your game. It's necessarily opinionated. Netcode gives you limitations that will shape your hierarchy and game logic. That's all okay, but it means that changing your netcode library is not a straight swap. A different netcode library has different opinions and limitations, and it's woven differently in your code. You have to relearn how things work. Can't assume that it's the same, and that takes a lot of time. Moving from Photon to Mirror took me 6 months. Sure, that was early 2020, but it's still a lot of time, and I'm used to doing these kinds of big projects. Is that the kind of pain you want to go through? Netcode isn't a feature that will draw players in, but they will complain if it's not right. So avoid spending time on stuff the players just don't care about. Those are the reasons you shouldn't change your netcode. So why am I doing it again? Well, I hit a problem. Was it my code? I built a test project to show the problem in its bare state. I stepped through Mirror's code and understood exactly what it was doing. I read all the documentation. I asked for help on Discord and raised a GitHub issue, but at time of recording, I've got no response. The problem I had with Mirror was that in version 66, you can't change client authority on the network transform without desync. Let me unpack that. An object can be owned by a client or the server. That's called authority. When a player in Clomper picks up an object, it takes authority over it. You need to do that so that when the player moves, the object moves crisply with it. When the player drops the object, then ownership is handed back to the server. This was all good in Mirror version 35. In later versions of Mirror, they introduced network transform buffers that remember the position of the object and can be used to smooth out lag spikes, which is a great feature. There's a buffer for server and one for client, and which buffer is used is controlled by a property on the network transform called client authority. If you don't change client authority during your game, the buffers work fine. If you do change client authority, then an old buffer full of old information takes over, and that causes the desync. I best showed this in my GitHub issue linked below. I usually recommend the official versions of libraries, and when I chose Mirror, Unity's netcode for game objects was still just ML API. Mirror appeared to have better support and a more active community, but I felt like I'm not getting the support I need. The community is very active and largely with people asking questions and not necessarily getting the answers they need. I can't say that netcode for game objects will be any better, but by being official, it will have documentation by the Unity team, and at least a chance of some official support rather than relying on the goodwill of volunteers whose time is precious too. So how does one go about swapping a big library? First, make a save point by committing to Git. I'm going to say that a lot in the next few minutes, so get used to it. Then delete the mirror folder, and you'll get a lot of errors, but commit to Git anyway. Create fake replacement types called stubs with just enough in them to make the errors go away. I'd recommend using the mirror namespace to get rid of the using warnings. The references on each of the stub types gives us an idea of how much change is going to come. When you get it to build again, commit to Git. Then install Unity's Netcode for game objects using the package manager. Then fix any build errors and restart the IDE. Finally, commit to Git. Your game won't work at this point because the stubs don't actually do anything. They're just there to make the refactor easier. And that's where I am at time of recording. You should start as if you're creating a new game. The network manager will be first, then players spawning, and then make a list of features that use networking. If you don't have a list of features anywhere else, you can find this out by looking at the references on the stub types. So that's my plan. Hit subscribe button to check to see if it works. If you're making a multiplayer game, it is hard to do, and most of the problems you encounter can be solved by using the library better. I hope I've convinced you not to switch, and that my problem might well be quite unique. I'm about to descend into a dark place of rewriting things that worked not long ago, so please like, subscribe and comment for support. Until next time, bye bye.